afternoon. Welcome to EduSat Network. Friend, we have organized 3 lectures on soft skills. You might be wondering why so. Let me make it clear that education is not only communicating the knowledge, rather it's communicating knowledge, skills, understanding of life situation to perform better. The same happen when you pass out the university system. You want to go somewhere for work. What the corporate will demand from you? What are their expectations? They want to perform you. That is, in fact, the part of the soft skills. There are several components of soft skills which we discussed today. The major one, the communication skills, presentation and grooming skill, and there are various others. We will discuss all these in today's lecture. And for discussion on this very topic, we have in the studio Professor Rohan Ubriani. He is a trainer and trained to management students and also the corporate people in soft skills and corporate communication. So I think that his knowledge and experience will help us to understand soft skills to enhance the employability of our students. So on your behalf, I welcome Professor Ubriani for the EduSat lecture. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar. Very good afternoon to you, students. Today, we'll be learning soft skills for enhancing employability. See, in today's world, what happens is that it is not something that we could have, say, a weaker soft skills or communication skills not being in proper shape, and we can get by in our job or profession. In fact, more and more people today are demanding in corporate world that apart from your technical knowledge, you should have a complete grip on the communication skill. Now, communication skills is just one of the soft skills. Now, when we go to any company or when we are interacting with, say, people on the phone, when somebody calls, today you will see the quality of the people when they talk to you in terms of the words that they use and the tones that they use, and the entire structure of their communication is far superior than it used to be earlier. Let's look at these aspects one by one and see how we can go about learning and enhancing our employability. Today, just having a degree of, say, a management MBA degree or an engineering degree, or even for that matter MBBS degree, it's not sufficient or a guarantee to a great career. Beyond a point, it's, if suppose for a corporate, for a selector or for an interviewer, there is one qualified person, MBA or an engineer, with just a degree and a technical knowledge, and there's another person who not only has that particular degree and technical knowledge, but is able to communicate well. He has a complete command of soft skills. He would be preferred over the previous candidate because not only he can perform well, technically, he can also communicate well with the people that he works with inside the organization and outside the organization. Let's look at each one of them one by one. Now, what we mean by soft skills, they primarily are composed of these 3 components. One is your winning communication skills, and the other is your impressive presentation and grooming skills, and lastly, the expectations of the corporate world from young qualified professionals in terms of your delivery of the value to the organization through your technical expertise and your communication skills. Now, let's look at the communication. Today we'll be covering the winning communication skills required to perform and deliver a expected value to the corporation that you work for. Communication skills primarily consist of 5 components, which include speaking skills, listening skills, writing skills, body language, and reading skills. We'll take these skills, we'll discuss these skills one by one, and we begin with the speaking skills. Now, there is a very interesting aspect to having speaking skills. Everybody in the world does speak. I mean, barring the people who are not able to speak, each one of us are, under the belief, or we firmly believe that we speak very well. nobody would actually agree, most people wouldn't agree that they are not, good speakers or they can't speak well. Everybody thinks that he has a command over the knowledge or command over the language, and whatever he says is the best manner of speaking. So internally, we firmly believe that we are good at speaking whatever language you speak, whether it's English or whether it's, you know, Hindi or any other regional language that we know of. When we interact with people, whether we interact people officially using English language or any other language, or we interact personally with people around, socially, with relatives, friends, or whatever. So when somebody speaks whatever language or whatever matter, he or she believes that they are speaking very well, they have no problem. This is one part of the story. The other part of the story is we have views and opinions on people who do not speak well. We say he or she doesn't know how to speak. We also have that this guy can't speak, he can't communicate well. If we were to say in Hindi कि उसको बात नहीं करनी आती, वो ठीक से बोलता नहीं है, things like that. So when we connect these two views together, on one hand, everyone believes that he is a great speaker, he or she is a great speaker. On the other hand, we know people who do not speak well. What does it mean? It means that there are people in the world with whom we interact, some of them actually believe that we don't speak well as well. If we have opinions about others, others also have opinions about us. So how does one find out whether in reality you are a good speaker or not? What requires to be a good speaker? One is that to find out from the people in your close circle privately that whenever I talk to people, is there any problem that I, create by communicating in a particular manner that I do. It could be a problem with the language, it could be a problem with your diction, it could be a problem with your pronunciation, it could be a problem with your vocabulary also. Probably you use the same words over and over again. Or it could be a problem related to a repetition. Some people keep repeating the same damn thing over and over again. While one speaks, it's generally very difficult humanly to find faults with your own speaking skills, because when we speak, psychologically speaking, when we speak from the perspective that we are giving it our best, but sometimes that best is not good enough. And it is for the listeners, and especially the people who are your sympathizers or people who are close to you, who can give you a very genuine advice. And sometimes you get it also, but largely the best way to improve your speaking skills is to find out from the people close to you that where are you going wrong? Is there any way you can improve upon? So they'll tell you that you have a problem with the language, you have a problem with the vocabulary, you keep repeating things, and your diction is an issue, or your pronunciation is an issue. But speaking is something which is your first introduction, probably a second introduction after your, to a new person, because first introduction could be your, the persona or the look that you have from head to toe. And the second introduction is when you start speaking to the people. And people start forming opinions also. And these opinions carry far more weight than your qualification and your experience and your biodata or whatever impressive strength that you have. And that is why in every organization, whether for a junior level or for a middle level or for senior level, interviews take place, because in the interview they want to find out what you have written on the biodata is matching with what you say, because it should, whatever strength or the qualifications that you have acquired over the years, it should come through when you talk to people. That is one aspect. I think we will have to go through each aspect in a summarized manner, because by itself it's a big subject which can take a long time to explain and teach, but we'll touch upon the importance of it and importance of each of these skills and how they can be improved in a very shortened manner. Listening. Now, everybody would react in a manner that, okay, listening is something that I do all day. Listening I've been doing for many years, so I'm a great listener. I mean, I haven't come across a person who says that I'm a poor listener. I have a weak listening skills. I haven't come across such a person because everybody says listening may. What is there in listening? Is just that you have to listen to the person who's saying something. No, there's a huge difference between the two. As we go along, okay, as we go along, in the listening skills study, what we come across is that most of the time people are not listening to the person they are exposed to, whether it's a teacher in the class, whether it's parents at home, whether it's your society, neighborhood, friends, or any other person that you interact as a part of your daily dealings with the people in the environment. Now, a lot of people confuse between hearing and listening being the same thing. But they're two different things altogether. Hearing is purely physical, totally physical. It's just that hearing is something when the words fall on our ears, whether we are you know paying attention to them or not paying attention to them, or there is no pressure on us to listen to them. For example, we go to the market and there's a lot of noise taking place around. There's a music blaring, there is some horns being honked by the vehicles or whatever. That is not something that we come there to hear for or to listen to, but then we end up hearing it and we assign certain meaning to it, and then we reject it, and then we go about doing our work. Hearing is purely physical, which could be your voluntary or involuntary. You could be hearing someone, but hearing does not require you to react. Usually it does not require you to understand. Listening, hearing is a subset. एक छोटा सा हिस्सा है, hearing is as a listening. That takes place first. The voice or the sound or the words go into your ear and then to your mind, and then you attach a meaning to it, then create an answer, create a reply, create a response, and then you deliver that response as your verbal response to that person, if at all you are required to, especially like when you're talking to your parents at home or when you're interacting with your faculty in the classroom. And somebody had said that listening is tougher than scaling the Everest. You have a very limited listening or attention span. And what is so great about listening? Why should you be a great listener? Why should you be a good listener? Listening gives you power, and that brings me to the second point, power listening. What is power listening? Power listening is listening to attain or to acquire power. How? If you listen to something, it is your input of knowledge and information. And knowledge and information by themselves are great powers. For example, you could be sitting in a classroom and a teacher is delivering a lecture. He's prepared that lecture over a period of time, spent few hours, created some knowledge, and he's come to the class to deliver. So in a class of say 30, 40 or 50 students, 10, 15, 20 could be paying good attention to him, the other are not paying attention. At the end of that class, whether it's 1 hour or 2 hour class, whatever it is, some students who paid attention and learned from that lecture, they are a step ahead of the students who have not done so. So what happens as the time goes, when the exam time comes in, the students who have paid attention, they have the knowledge, they don't have to worry about how many marks they will get and what all they have to prepare, what they know, what they don't know. And the students who have not paid attention, they are the ones who are the most scared. They have great fear that they have not learned anything. Now there is a huge difference between the person who has learned and therefore he is in a position of power, and the person who has not acquired that knowledge and he is in a position of great weakness. A step ahead of that, when you go for the interview, some people are very confident going into the interview because they know what they have done. If they have done, say, whether it's engineering or say management or whether it is the medicine, they know the answers to all possible questions that can be asked in the interview. And as opposed to the students who just somehow scraped through or passed their exam and acquired their degree, and they're extremely scared that if they ask me from this particular subject or this particular aspect, I will not have the answer for. So what will I say? And this power of listening, or this skill of listening, makes the difference between somebody passing the exam with flying colors and somebody who is scared of a failure going into the exam. This makes the difference between somebody passing the interview and somebody definitely not clearing the interview, because the 4 questions asked, he doesn't answer 3, the guy will say, okay, thank you so much, we'll get back to you, which means you will not hear from him as far as your selection is concerned. This is also the difference between people on the basis of the knowledge that they have gained through listening. They keep moving ahead in their careers, they keep rising in their careers, they're reaching the top of their careers, as opposed to the people who have not acquired the knowledge, probably have not paid attention. And listening is the simplest, or say you can say easiest way of acquiring information or knowledge, and information knowledge by themselves are great powers. And as we understood, advantages of listening also, it gives you the power. And how do you go about improving your listening? It's not easy, first of all, to be a good listener. And if by chance you are a poor listener, it is not going to be easy, but one can definitely try. It takes time. By forcing, number one is that forcing yourself to pay attention even if you're not liking it. People have these views that if they are not interested in a particular subject, if the speaker is boring, or if somebody is talking about a subject which doesn't has any interest for you, you have to look at the objective. What is the objective? Objective is to acquire knowledge. So if you want something in life, you have to force yourself to pay attention. Tell yourself that even if it is boring, I am going to listen to the whole lecture, and at the end of the lecture I'll decide that how much was valuable to me and how much was of not value to me. Do not decide in the first 2, 3, 5 minutes whether you want to finish, you want to pay attention for the whole 1 hour or not. Decide at the end of 1 hour that how much was valuable. Okay. Next we come to the writing skills. In fact, I guess, next we come to the writing skills. Lots of people I have seen who have been very brilliant in their profession, and very intelligent people. They have done well academically also, and probably they have done extremely well professionally also, reached quite senior levels, manager, senior manager, GM levels, whatever. But when it comes to somebody telling them, or it is required of them to write a letter to someone, or to reply to a letter which has come to their table, or come to their responsibility area, they have a lot of problem constructing, or say developing a letter. It is a skill which needs to be developed at very early stage of a career, or probably at, say, academic level itself. I would say that it should be, this skill should begin its inculcation among the pupils from the school onward, from school level itself, probably from 9th, 10th onwards, so that by the time he actually joins a company 4 or 5 or 6 years later, he has a reasonably good command over writing a letter, or replying to a letter, or drafting a letter for that matter. In writing skill, the first and foremost point is that what needs to be written. Now that depends upon many factors. One is that suppose you have received a letter from someone, that letter could be a sales letter. For example, you are a purchase manager working in a company, and you get a sales letter from a company describing the products it is manufacturing or selling, and what those products are in terms of their attributes, their functions, or their prices, different varieties, shapes, sizes, colors, or whatever. It's just giving all those details and requesting you to buy it from them and giving you reasons why should you buy, in terms of giving comparisons with their competing products and how they're superior to them in terms of quality, in terms of variety, in terms of prices, whatever. Now, if your boss tells you to reply to this letter in a positive manner, asking them to come for a meeting, you will have to understand the entire purpose of that letter, sentence by sentence or word by word, and write. Today though you write emails instead of letters on a paper and sending it by courier. So you'll have to prepare the answer, understanding what they are saying and also communicating what is your requirement, what do you expect them to do. Either you're asking for more information regarding the same set of products or the services that they provide, or you require them to come for a meeting with you so that you can discuss it and see the possibility of actually engaging in the business. Or it could be a negative response. Say, suppose you're directed to tell them that, okay, we do not require these kind of products or services at this stage of time, and we'll get back to you as and when there's a requirement. So whatever be your reply to them, it has to be first written in point form. This is what I'm saying in the second point. You jot down the main points, what you need to communicate to them in terms of what is your reply to them, whether it's affirmative or whether it's negative, and work on those points. And those points should always be in a logical and continuous manner. Sometimes, okay, when we write personal letters to, say, our friends or relatives or whatever, there we are not that serious about the continuity or the logical, the flow of the information. We could be telling something as and when it comes to our mind. We could be detailing them about some events in the past in a very, very, say, not in a proper, say, historical, say, manner, that something which happened 2 days later we're telling first, and something which happened, just in last 1 hour we're telling them later. In official letters, you have to be very, very logical and continuous about your points. So it's better to jot down points first, and then either you create a first draft on your own. In this particular activity, not only the points are important, but your ability to construct correct sentences also comes into play. Once you have done both, jotted down the main points and created the first draft, it's advisable to consult an expert. It could be your senior, it could be your boss, it could be a colleague who actually is not doing the same work. I mean, you may not be in the same line of reporting. So it's always better to consult an expert, because that he can also bring some value to your drafting. And more it is improved, the more impact or the better results can be achieved by sending that improved letter. And once you have consulted, say, one, you can consult more than one person also, 1, 2, 3, 4 people. But this is something when you start working. But it's better that ideally you should learn this skill as early as possible, even before you start working. As I said, this ideally should be, this training, this skill should ideally be delivered at the school level from 9th, 10th onwards, so that by the time you actually finish your, say, post-graduation, you have a good command over drafting good, effective, result-oriented letters over a period of, say, 6-7 years of training and practice. Because practice is also very, very critical. The more you write, the better writer you become, and the more command over language you have. And all this, and when the results start coming in with your effective writing, it boosts your confidence also. And then probably, who knows, from being a learner of writing skills, you could actually become a trainer of writing skills. And the final letter should be such that when it reaches the person whom it is intended to, he should actually see that letter as if you're sitting in front of him and saying all those words written on that piece of paper. That is the final and, say, ultimate objective of writing a very, very effective and result-oriented letter. In the next skill of understanding body language, I think most of you would have been exposed or say would have heard of this term called body language. A lot of people keep using it, and I'm not very sure how many people actually understand the meaning of it and why it is important in a communication skill. I think to begin with, I will touch upon this Mehrabian model, which is a very, very eye-opening model from the perspective of the all the communication that takes place between, say, two people or say more than two people, and we put a lot of emphasis on the words, whether it's spoken words or whether it's written word, the words that we acquire. There's no doubt that the words have their own importance, and your ability or your command over language and your command over the particular manner of speech is very, very important. But more than the knowledge of words or knowledge of language is the ability to understand the body language of the people you interact with. Also to understand that when you talk to people, what kind of the body language cues you are delivering to the listeners of your speech as well. Mehrabian model says that 7% of meaning is in the words that are spoken. What does it mean? It means whatever I say to people, people attach importance, only 7% importance to the words that I say. Those words could be, say, for example, very simple. You sometimes somebody has done something for you, or somebody has delivered a service to you, and you're saying thank you. Now, thank you is a very simple, communication, and it is a complete sentence by itself where I is silent. The complete sentence is I thank you, full stop. So we don't use that word I and we say thank you. Now, when you say thank you to someone, for example, people are not going to take it as 100% true and correct coming from your side. Only 7% of this term is considered to be important from the listener. Where else is putting the importance on? 38% of meaning is paralinguistic, which means the manner in which the words are said, which is all more than 5 times the importance of words that are spoken. Meaning what? You could be saying thank you in a normal manner, in a genuine manner. You could actually be meaning thank you. But sometimes, suppose somebody has irritated you beyond your patience and made you wait for a long time, and probably the courtesy is that even if he has delayed the services to you or made you stand or say made you wait for a very long time, and the courtesy demands that whatever has happened, you have to say thank you to him. Have to in the sense it's basic courtesy. So you can say thank you in a normal term also, and you can say in a very irritating tone also, thank you. Communicating that there is nothing that you have done. You could have done it faster, but then you are upset. You are expressing your upsetness, but still using the word thank you. And much more than all this is the last part, that is 55% of the meaning is conveyed through the facial expression. Your eyes could be burning with anger, your face could be red with absolute upsetness, that why this guy is deliberately. Sometimes people are compelled not to meet your expectations of a service delivery. Sometimes, like, you stand in a queue for a long time and then you get extremely worked up that why this guy is talking on the phone and not paying attention to my requirements. So you communicate through your face also. So in the entire process of communicating, even a simple term like thank you, 55% is the importance of your facial expression when you're actually delivering those words. And 38% is the importance attached to the manner, the tone that you have used. Only 7% is the words. This is extremely important in any interpersonal communication. In any interpersonal communication of all kinds, whether it's professional, social, personal, anywhere in the world, whether you operate in, whether you're using it in this country or anywhere else in the world, it's extremely, extremely important to know this part of communication, that just because I had said something and the other person will take it in the same manner, the answer is no. He's paying more attention to your tone. He's paying more attention to your facial expression. He's paying the least attention to the words that you're saying. This is what it means. Second part of body contact is this body language is eye contact. I've seen a lot of people when they talk to other people, they are not looking into the eyes of the people whom they are interacting with. They're not maintaining an eye contact. They're either looking on the left side or on the right side or above the head of the person they're talking to, or they're looking down, or they're looking sideways. Why does it happen? And there are some people who will look straight into your eyes and talk to you. What is the difference between the two? The difference is the people who look into the eyes and talk to you, they are communicating two things extremely, extremely well. Number one, the confidence. The second is the genuinity. The genuinity could be the truth. It could be, something which they are very, very sure about. Delivers, it reflects confidence. It reflects truthfulness. It reflects fairness. It reflects fearlessness also. And when you're looking sideways, looking up, not meeting the eyes, or your eyes are shifting all the time, moving from left to right, right to left, up and down, shifting looks at a great speed also at times, it conveys that you are not telling the truth, probably you're fudging something, or you have some ill intent on your mind. You're trying to fool someone, or you're trying to, cheat someone. Actually, not maintaining eye contact is more reflective of a cheatingful nature or lack of confidence, or both. Extremely important when you talk to people, look into the eyes, but not with the look of creating a scare in them, looking deep or says hard into somebody's eyes, but a normal eye contact, as you would do with a person with whom you are very comfortable with. In fact, not maintaining eye contact also means that you are not comfortable with the person and you want to run away from that person. But just because there is some compulsion for you to be there, some compulsion of either the status in the society or probably the official status that you have, you got to listen to that person, or you got to be with that particular person for that period of time, say 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes or half an hour. Even if it is so, see, it works both ways. You could be doing this to the other person without knowing about it also, or somebody else could be doing it to you, and this knowledge actually, even if it is not acted upon, or it is not absorbed in a conscious manner, it operates at a subconscious level. Even if the person is illiterate, he doesn't know the body language in this technical domain, he would know from experience that somebody who is not maintaining eye contact, there is something wrong, there is some issue. And what is that issue? That he becomes curious about finding out that why this guy is not looking into the eyes. You must have seen a lot of people say, you look at me when I'm talking to you. They get upset that you're not looking at them when you're talking to them, or when they are talking to you. So when you talk to people without maintaining eye contact, these are the negatives that you convey. The untruthfulness, lack of confidence. And when somebody is talking to you and he is looking into your face, he wants to maintain eye contact, but you are not allowing him to do so by shifting here and there, it is a mark of disrespect. It is seen as an insult that I'm talking to you and you're looking sideways, which means that the other person, whatever is saying, is of no importance to you. You are conveying that why are you wasting my time? I'm not interested in listening to you or even, standing in front of you. And I want to run away from here and I got better things to do in life. This is what you're communicating. So it irritates. It's an insult. It's disrespect. So please understand, even if it is true, it's avoidable to do it unless you are inviting trouble for yourself, especially if the person whom you're interacting with is in a position of power, any kind of power. It could be a parent, it could be a teacher, it could be a boss, it could be any other person in a powerful position, and he can use his power to actually communicate how insulted or how disrespectful he feels about it. Okay, next we come to the facial expression. Eyes are a part of the face. So, what facial expressions that we're talking about? What it could be? One is the eyes that we communicate. When we are happy with someone, we like to be with someone, or happy to listen to someone, our skin glows, our eyes light up, our lips are they part or they close in a particular positive manner. There's a smile on the face. Sometimes we express it with the laughter also. Sometimes we look at the person in a very, very, say, friendly or a loving manner. Including why even the color of your skin includes your forehead, your cheeks, or your sometimes ears also. They communicate that yes, you are enjoying that company, you're listening, you're enjoying that conversation, you are very fond of listening to that person, and you want to listen more and more, want to spend more and more time. On the other hand, there are people whom you have utter dislike for, or you're getting very upset. Suppose somebody is shouting at you, a senior, say whether it's a father, whether it's a parent or a teacher or whatever, shouting at you for some mistake that you did, or something that went wrong and you're responsible for it, and you're getting the heat of it. Your facial expression will communicate everything without a single word. You get red in face when you're being shouted at, sometimes in person or sometimes in public also. Why in public, when somebody is shouting at you or say, showing his anger, and in a way you feel extremely, extremely insulted that why it is happening to me. Your face becomes red hot. In fact, the skin also communicates that it's not something that you are comfortable with and you want to run away from that position, but since for some reason or the other you are not able to do so, you communicate through these facial expressions. And even your lips for that matter, they open and close in a very, very negative manner, communicating extremely well even to an illiterate around that it is not something that you're enjoying, it is not something that you are comfortable with. You want it to finish, you want it to end, and you want to run away from that place, or probably do something to the person who's talking to you like that. And the last point in body language that we come to is bodily movements, postures, and gestures. There is a particular thing that we do. I mean, when we listen to some people or when we're talking to people, we don't do that with absolute stillness about the body. There is something that we keep doing with our hands, with our head, or whatever. A tilting of head in a particular manner expresses either positivity or negativity. For example, you could just hold your chin onto your hand and bend it either on left or right like this. It communicates to the speaker that you are enjoying that conversation, you're enjoying that particular lecture or the speech that he is delivering, and you're interested and you want to hear more and more. On the other hand, when you are not interested in a particular speech or in a particular speaker, what you're communicating through your, like for example, you could be, so a lot of people when they listen to somebody, and if they if they are not interested in listening completely, or they just want to run away from there because after say 5 or 10 minutes they have basically, you know, decided that it is not something which they want to do or which they want to listen to, they start playing on the table with their hands, which we call, playing tabla on the table that is closest to them or whatever. It very irritatingly is communicating to the speaker that whatever you say is quite boring and we are not interested and we don't want to waste any more time. My advice is, even if it is so, please never ever do that to a speaker, whosoever it may be, because if you're sending a negative signals to the person, even if he's not very interesting or very good at speaking, whatever he is speaking on, it's a mark of it marks disrespect and insult again. If somebody is not being good speaker and you are there for some reason, whosoever it could be a teacher or it could be a parent or it could be a boss, if you communicate negative, then you're asking for trouble. And if somebody else is doing it to you in a reverse situation, when you are the speaker and somebody else is doing it, then what should you do? You should take it as a hint for doing something about what you're lecturing on, what you're speaking on. Do something about it immediately on your feet to make it more interesting for the people who are listening to it. In fact, a smart speaker will take these kind of cues to make changes as he's going about the entire speech. Because if you have prepared something at home and you come to deliver and you find that halfway through the speech people are looking sideways, they're playing tablas and they are talking among each other, these are all signs that either you should wind up quickly or you should make it more interesting, thinking on your feet at that particular point of time. It's not easy, but it can be done. There are a lot of speakers who do it also. You could be speaking on a technical subject, it could be a non-technical subject, you could be addressing a technical audience also. For example, there could be a very senior doctor from say well established or a very renowned hospital delivering a lecture on say a particular research, a new research in medical science, and he's talking to say about say 200-300 doctors in an auditorium. Each one is technically qualified to understand what terms or the matter that he's talking about. But more than the matter itself, what matters is what in which manner he's delivering it, whether it is making sense, whether it is logical, whether it is coherent, and it is interesting for the audiences. If they realize that in the first, suppose that is supposed to be for say half an hour or 1 hour of that speech, in the first 10 minutes usually the audience decides that they want to listen to the balance part or not. So therefore it is very, very important that taking cues from the audience, how well you are speaking, is the most important aspect of delivering your speech, or you're talking to the, why it could be, it need not be a speech or say your lecture in a classroom or an auditorium. It could be talking to a few people in a party also. It could be just 3 or 4 people whom you're talking to, and you realize that in first 5-10 minutes whether they are interested in listening to you more or they are looking for somebody else to go to. So therefore these should be taken as a learning cues rather than getting upset about. And if you're not able to find out what you need to do, get in touch with experts. Look at the people who are doing this work better than you do and learn from them. Like one of the things that I learn today greatly from are the TV commentators or TV news readers, for example. Each TV news reader, whether he comes on say English TV news or whether it's Hindi news channels, just look at the way they are delivering their speech in terms of, they sit very quietly with minimal of say bodily movements and usually keeping generally an overall cheerful look on their face, and they're delivering their news in a proper language, proper tone, proper diction, proper pronunciation. They are trained to do that. They have acquired this training over a long period of time, and they have practiced it, they have experience, and it's it's a acquired skill over a long period of time. Just looking at them, just paying attention to them, just simply listening and looking at them continuously for a long period of time, say for example 1 hour every day, you pay attention to, you listen to the news seriously, attentively, with full focus. It's not something that you're doing something else and you're listening to the. This is what we do most of the time. When we go home, we listen to the news or we listen to the people, and we watch films also, and we do other things also. Um, whatever work that we have at home. What I'm saying, if professionally you want to improve on these skills, it's advisable to look at the TV news readers, whichever language they are from, whichever channel you like, just pay attention with full focus, with nothing else, distracting you in that environment, and see whether you can emulate them. Emulate does not mean copying them. Emulate meaning that if they are, the first and foremost part of the emulation is that if they can do it, I can do it also. That kind of confidence. They are also human beings like me. If they can do it, I can do it also. Let's find out how they have reached this stage. And the only way to reach that stage is training and practice. This is what every expert has done all their lives. The other parts of say other aspects of bodily movements, gestures and postures, all kinds of things. We could be we wave our arms or we shake our heads, sometimes in a positive manner, sometimes in a negative manner also. We call people through gestures, we send people through gestures, we agree with people through gestures by nodding head front and back like this. Sometimes we could be communicating something very negative, again with a shake of head when we disagree with someone, or we could be using hands and other bodily parts to convey. One will have to be smart enough to understand it in two ways. One, if somebody else is doing it to you in your conversation, you should be able to attach a meaning to that. Secondly, once you understand what different gestures, postures mean, you should be controlled in a manner of communicating yourself to the other people any negativity which could go against you either academically or professionally. Okay, now we come to the reading skills. Lots of people have given up reading in the last few years. It's understandable also in a way, and not understandable also. Reason is probably, if I were to look at it from my personal viewpoint, we in our student days, we were very well encouraged to read primarily our academic books and sometimes non-academic also. In fact, we used to read a lot both ways, academic as well as non-academic. We had libraries to go to, we still have them. But reading is also a great source of power because reading gives you more information, more knowledge, and as I said earlier, information and knowledge both are great powers by themselves. So it used to be a great learning, say, learning ways of new things, but these days the reading has gone down so badly that people are dependent upon each other for more and more knowledge. So say for example, say in our class of say suppose there were 40 students in my class at any given point of time, whether school, college or post graduation. In the olden days you would find at least 30 who are into a well-read category, the people who used to remain up to date with whatever latest is there in the market in terms of new books or new knowledge or new magazines or new journals or whatever that come through. And 75% people used to be very avid readers. They used to be very focused readers, and they used to always chase for new books and find out what's happening. Today, this ratio has become reversed. Not even 25% people are interested in reading. And on the other hand, today the availability of reading information is probably 1,000 times more. I mean, look at the internet is full of information. There are a lot of people who are visiting sites also. But probably one reason of reading going down is the advent of internet. And in our days, the availability of reading material was less. Today, the problem has become absolutely opposite. There is too much to read from, and you don't know what to read actually. So that is also an issue. But first and foremost is the inculcation of the habit of reading. Reading is fundamentally is the same as listening. Only thing is that both require different kinds of effort. Both have a great demand on your say your personality to pay attention. Both require attention, and both have the same source. Both are same sources of the same power. Listening adds to your knowledge and information, and so does reading. Whereas listening will have your lesser, opportunities of listening to people because they're not available to you all the time. Where reading has an advantage that you can read anytime you wish. You can read anytime during the 24-hour period. And today you don't have to spend time or on say travel or on fuel to go to a place of say library or say university or college or whatever and get those books and bring them home and then you have to return. Today if you have access to the computer or internet, it's available to you. The only thing is that you need to understand from different people that how to cull out the important information relevant to your profession or your trade and how to go about reading that also. The second thing is creating a discipline for reading. Creating discipline means that you could be reading say for 2 hours today and not read for next 15 days and then again you read for an hour and then you don't read for another 15 days. No, this will not make you competitive in this world because there are people in US, I have been told by somebody that even a school student is expected to read minimum of 2 non-academic books every month, which means that each book which runs into 300 to 400 pages, it could be written by some industry leaders, it could be written by some fiction writers. They also add to your knowledge. They actually supplement your academic knowledge. Even if you read 2 books a month, it's sufficient, whether they are academic or non-academic. You could actually differentiate between the two. You could, 50% you go for academic, 50, and also I have noticed as the time goes, in our times also they were like that, more than 50% students actually pick up the books around the exam time. That is the wrong thing to do because exam time has created so much of stress in your mind that it is extremely difficult for the learning to take place. The only cramming or mugging can take place at that point of time. Learning requires a relaxed state of mind. So which you can do around the year, not to do too much. I think 2 books a month is sufficient, whether academic or non-academic, as I said earlier. And the next part is speed reading. A lot of people read very slowly. As the time goes, initially you have to start reading slowly only. You can't. It's like learning a vehicle. When you learning to drive a vehicle, when you learn to drive a vehicle, you don't start speeding at 60 or 80 kilometers per hour. You start very slowly. It's nothing wrong to be a slow reader, but as the time goes, with say 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, your speed of reading should also go up. You should be able to grasp the meaning of the words that are written on the piece of paper. If say on the day 1, if you are able to say read 1 page in say about 7 minutes, 6 months down the line you should be able to read the same page in 4 minutes. Another 6 months down the line it should come down to 3.5 minutes. It can't become 0 obviously, but it should keep coming down gradually so that you are able to read more and more in the same period of time. And last point, what to read, most important, it should be you should be reading which is relevant to your profession or trade. You should also read something which is connected to your profession. For example, if you are in the field of, say, a media, you could be reading everything related to media, but look at the stuff which is related to media in one way or the other. It could be political reading also, it could be historical reading also. Why? The non-connected example that I can give is that if you are, say, suppose even if you are an automobile engineer working for, say, Maruti, you could be reading everything about automobiles, which is happening, what is happening around the journals, the magazines, the latest discovery, inventions, latest technology. Should also look at what is happening in the non-automobile areas connected to it. For example, in tire technologies, they are remotely connected. You could be focused only on the mechanical or, say, engine part of your profession, but look at the tire industry, look at the, the even the rubber industry for that matter also, government policies, anything that is even remotely connected to your trade or profession comes into play, and they all add to the body of knowledge that you acquired and makes you more competitive among your all your say colleagues or the people who are competing for the senior posts. It's a person with better knowledge among his peers will always have a higher chance of moving up in the career. I guess I have more or less completed talking to you about the communication skills. I hope it made some sense to you, and if there are any questions or comments, that I would welcome you to share with me.
Well, you explained the essential components of some softer skills and enhancing the employability chances. But I would like to know from you that if someone who are not good at these skills, how can they start from, and where do they start from?
See, number one issue is that the person should first be complimented upon his or her desire to improve the skills, because this is the first step for improving them. Why I'm saying so? Because I have come across many people who have inferior or weak communication skills, and they do not believe so. They remain very strong about that they don't have any problem. So the first and foremost is the identification of the issues that one has with communication skills. And the second is that very honestly put down on a piece of paper in private, where is your problem? Is a problem with your diction? Is a problem with your pronunciation? Is a problem with your language? Is a problem with your vocabulary? Is a problem with your sentence construction? Now, I think a couple of points probably got missed out in my slides was that where we talked about that it's a lot of people I have noticed that when they speak English, especially for our country, they use non-English words also while communicating. There's no crime, but it should be avoided. English must be spoken in the manner English is spoken. Hindi must be spoken in the manner Hindi is spoken. Any regional language that we have in the country must be spoken in the manner it is spoken in that particular region only. Now, speaking English in a Hindi manner, speaking English in a, say, a South Indian manner, people do it and they get by, but it is noticed, it is noticeable. So, the important aspect of improving upon the communication skill, whichever language it could be, since English is our business language, so we focus more on that in a professional lecture like this, that one will have to see the people who speak well. People have also noticed, say for example, there's one issue I have seen with a lot of people, as they begin their sentence and when they are about to complete the sentence, their volume drops towards the end. So the last 2 or 3 words are not audible to the person who's listening to them. Every single word must be spoken with the same strength towards the right up to the end, not giving a chance to the person to say that I didn't hear the last 2 3 words that you said. So the first and foremost is that identification of the problem that one has, and then also talk to some very close, confident people around and say, okay, these are the problems I believe I have. Do you think are they okay, or is there anything else that I have a problem? So first complete that list yourself and with the people around with whom you can share freely that what issues you have with your communication skills, and then look for a proper training place, a proper trainer who can actually train you. It could be an institute, it could be an individual, it could be a group of people, whatever it may be. See, for example, when we fall ill, there is a problem that we have, there is an issue that we have. So what do? We look at either a doctor, individual doctor, we go to a hospital, or we find out from some elders in our environment that I got a stomach ache, I got a headache. So they probably suggest home remedies. Either way, getting help, a professional help, is very, very important.
So, well, friend, as you heard it, the first thing is to identify the problem, then you fire up your desire to overcome it. Only then you can learn the art to and trade of the trick of the trade. Sorry, I missed it. So this is the what Dr. Rohan Obrani wanted to communicate to all of you. So I hope this lecture help you to make your soft skill and employability chances to enhance. So with this we conclude the lecture, and I thank all of you for watching the lecture, and on behalf I thank Dr. Rohan Obrani for giving such a wonderful lecture on this very topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.